Hey everyone, it's Michael with MTS4K here to do another video review, and today I'm going to be talking about my new favorite device right now, the Steam Deck OLED. I got a lot of stuff to get into. I want to tell you guys all about it. I've been using it for over a month now, just enjoying the heck out of it. So much so it probably delayed this video by a while. So I want to get into the specifics of why I love the OLED, why I still recommend the LCD, and some of the differences between the Steam Deck OLED and the Steam Deck LCD. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first on the Steam Deck OLED, one of the things you gotta talk about is obviously in the name, the OLED display. So one of the biggest changes with the Steam Deck OLED is that they moved from an LCD display on the old model to the new OLED display on the new model. Both are great. I had no problems with the LCD model. I still played the heck out of it and loved it. The OLED screen is better. That's pretty much what it comes down to. The OLED display, you get the HDR support, you get the 90 Hz refresh rate. On the OLED model, they bumped the screen size up to a 7.4 inch display instead of a 7 inch display on the LCD model. It's just an overall better and more enjoyable experience on the Steam Deck OLED with that new screen. You don't get to take advantage of the 90 Hz too often unless you're playing like side-scroller games or something where it's not super graphic intense, but in the menus and stuff and even like shopping the store, you can definitely kind of tell that 90 Hz is there and is better than the old LCD model. There's a couple things that accompany though with that increased screen size is also going to be the battery life, but not in a negative way. So the OLED model has less power draw than the LCD model because of the way the OLED technology works. So you actually get less power drawn to power the screen, even though it's a bigger screen than the LCD model. And because an OLED display is thinner inside the device, you actually get a bigger battery as well. They were able to fit a 50 watt-hour battery inside of the Steam Deck OLED model compared to the 40 watt-hour battery in the LCD model. Now again, that's not a huge difference, but any improvement in battery life is worth it. It was already kind of one of the kings out there for battery life compared to the Lenovo Legion Go and the Asus ROG Ally, so that's really cool that you can get a bigger battery life and a better screen at the same time. Quite a bump up. There's a couple other things they also include in the Steam Deck OLED that you might not totally be aware of. The first thing is actually going to be that they did bump up the Wi-Fi chip to be Wi-Fi 6E. So the old LCD model supported Wi-Fi 5, which was totally fine. There's nothing wrong with Wi-Fi 5, but the new OLED model does support Wi-Fi 6E. Those speeds are awesome. You will absolutely see an improvement if you have the internet connection, like a good ISP, and a router that can support it. So I've seen up to 214 megabits per second over Wi-Fi download speed on the Steam Deck OLED. So very happy with that. My games, it really does. They download faster. It's weird. I mean, I didn't think that switching from Wi-Fi 5 to Wi-Fi 6E would be that much of a difference. My router does support Wi-Fi 6, so maybe that's why, but I'm very happy with that. In addition to that, there's a couple other small things. They did make some tweaks to the device. So one of the first things you'll notice with the new OLED display, the screen touch responsiveness is better. It is so much better. I mean, it's seriously like, I would not and do not recommend ever touching the screen if you can help it on the LCD model because it is not very good. When you try to touch different parts on the LCD model, sometimes when you touch it, it doesn't register a touch or it touches slightly to the side of it. It's just not ideal. It's not really well mapped. It's not very good at touch interaction. The OLED model's perfect. It's like using your phone. It's like using an iPad. It's like using your iPhone, your Android phone, whatever. You touch it, it does it. It's great. So they improved that compared to the LCD model. I'm not sure if the new LCD model really changed anything with that. It's still the same old LCD display. I'm not sure if they changed anything to adjust for the, touch to make it the touch sampling better. I don't know, but I know in the OLED model it is perfect, and that's something I very much appreciate, even though I don't really touch the screen that much. But it's good to know it's there. So there's that. Another small thing they did change on the Steam Deck OLED is going to be the touchpads. They specifically changed the touchpads and they changed the bumpers. So the bumpers, if you kind of listen, they're much clickier than they used to be. So they've definitely improved that. They now click from a variety of angles much better. Before you had to press like a specific spot to actually get a good click. Now they click from a variety of different angles a lot better, a lot more consistent. That was one huge thing that I actually have noticed and really appreciate. There was nothing wrong again with the old model. You just had to click it a certain way. You had to learn how to click it, and these ones you just click it whatever feels most comfortable to you. So I really like that. The touchpads, they did two big things here. One, they actually strengthen the mechanism supporting the touchpad so they're a little more durable. They feel more solid. It's really nice. It's like using a Mac trackpad or like a Surface laptop trackpad where you get a nice, good haptic bump, you know, when you push it, but it still feels super solid. Like right now I'm pushing on it. It doesn't feel like I'm gonna break it or anything. The LCD model, they didn't feel quite, they felt kind of like squishy. Like if you pushed it, you could just punch right through it if you tried. These ones are much more solid on the OLED model. The second thing that they did include with the touchpads was better haptics. Not only is it actually like a little bit of a stronger haptic motor, but it's much better tied to actually touching the touchpads. It's perfect. It's flawless. It's like using a PS5 controller with the haptic vibrations. I mean, it's really good. Again, you don't get that experience quite as good when you're actually playing games and you want the vibration turned on. But when you're using it as like a mouse or, you know, scrolling around in a game, whatever, it is perfect. The haptics are awesome. So very happy with that. There's a lot of other things under the hood that aren't really worth mentioning, but I'll say them anyway. They bumped up the max storage size. You can now get a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD on the Steam Deck OLED. They also changed the architecture of the chip from a 7 nanometer APU to a 6 nanometer APU. It doesn't really matter. It's more power efficient. It's slightly more power efficient. I believe it's also slightly smaller. I could be wrong on that, but it's definitely not a big deal. It didn't change any of the graphics performance on the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck OLED is not more powerful than the original LCD Steam Deck. They're pretty much exactly the same. It's just slightly more power efficient because of that 6 nanometer APU. The only other thing that's kind of worth mentioning-ish is if you buy the OLED model, you will get a 2.5 meter charging cable instead of a 1.5 meter charging cable. Really not that big of a deal. I've actually started using the 2.5 at my desk, and I've noticed that it's actually too long, and I end up with a bunch of the cord just sitting on top of the desk in the way when I go to set the Steam Deck down versus the 1.5 meter cable where I didn't have that problem. But it's nice to know that you can, you know, plug it in and go much further than you could before with that 2.5 meter charging cable. So pretty happy about that. It's not a big deal, but it's something. Outside of that, let's get into the big thing, the price and which model you should get. All right, here's the deal. So you can get 3 different options of the Steam Deck. You can get a Steam Deck LCD, a Steam Deck OLED with 512 gigs of storage, or a Steam Deck OLED with a terabyte of storage. You get 3 options. The 256 gigabyte LCD Steam Deck starts at $399 USD. That's an awesome freaking price. Like for real, dead serious, that price is amazing. It is exactly the same experience as an OLED, minus a slightly smaller battery and an LCD display instead of the OLED display, and then obviously it's a 7-inch display. Those are the 3 main drawbacks. There's obviously a couple other things like the charging cable's 1.5 meters instead of 2.5. Who cares about that? $400 for a gaming console you can bring anywhere with you and just play your PC games on your Steam games that you can get at discounts all the time because Steam and Humble Bundle are awesome. That's amazing. So honest, if you want to get a Steam Deck, if you want to get into gaming but you don't want to drop a ton of money, a $399 Steam Deck is amazing. You can buy that and then go somewhere and buy an SSD like iFixit's website, swap in a 2 terabyte SSD, which is super easy to do. I'll link a guide in the video down here if you want to check out my guide on how to do that. And it's just, that's it. I mean, you just have a gaming console with 2 terabytes of storage that you can bring anywhere with you. It's awesome. I think the 256 gigabyte Steam Deck LCD for $399 is perfect. That is awesome. Steam killed it with that pricing. If you want to get into the OLED models, you can get this 512 gigabyte OLED for $549 USD, and you're gonna get 512 gigabytes of storage, which is really good. I think that's pretty fair. $550, again, you're looking at a little bit higher than like a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, but for what you're getting, which is, you know, a portable gaming console that you can game anywhere with a built-in screen, built-in speakers, built-in microphone, you know, all that stuff, touchpads, its own like operating system, it's a full computer, you can do like emulation, anything you want on there. $550 is still an amazing price. And then you get the 1 terabyte OLED models. The last one, you can get that for $649 USD. One thing I did forget to mention right here, the 1 terabyte, $649 Steam Deck OLED. One additional thing it does include is it does include a carrying case with a removable liner. It is not that cool. It is essentially a case with a case inside. And if you don't want to have to carry around the big, you know, carrying case with the charger and all that stuff, you can pull the liner out and then put your Steam Deck in there and throw it in a backpack, throw it in a bag, you know, bring it wherever with you without having to bring the whole carrying case. It's cool, it's an interesting idea, it's nifty. I just don't use it. I use the Steam Deck, the D brand case, the kill switch case for my Steam Deck. So I don't really have a reason to use any other case like that. I just use the kill switch and then the travel cover and throw that in my bag instead. But it's cool to know that there's a removable liner and that's an option. So just wanted to put that in here. 1 terabyte OLED for $649 does include the premium anti-glare etched glass coating, which I think is nice, but not worth the price. Like theoretically speaking, right? My personal recommendation, I would buy the middle tier Steam Deck OLED. I would buy the $549 Steam Deck OLED, save $100, add an extra $20, $30, go to iFixit's website and buy a 2 terabyte, you know, M.2 SSD for $130 or whatever the price is right now. They kind of fluctuate a lot, but you could easily get 4 times the storage of the middle tier for almost around the same price as just upgrading to the 1 terabyte Steam Deck OLED. So my recommendation across all three, if you're trying to be really, really budget friendly and you don't want to drop too much money, $400 for an LCD is amazing. The LCD model is great. It is such a good budget option. But that being said, I love my OLED model, so I would recommend if you can drop the extra dough, get the $549 Steam Deck OLED, and then when you need to, go out and upgrade your storage with an SSD, like a 2 terabyte SSD from iFixit's website or Amazon or whatever. You can find plenty of them out there at a variety of prices. So that's my recommendation for these. One thing I will say, I just want to be clear on this, I had my Steam Deck LCD, I had it with the kill switch case and the, you know, the nice like switch, you know, reskin, D-brand skin thing on there. And I opened up my Steam Deck OLED and I turned it on, I like getting everything booted up and I was like, this is kind of exactly the same. And I was almost disappointed at first because I was like, man, this doesn't feel like a huge improvement. It's just like my normal Steam Deck with a slightly better screen. Then I played on it every day for like 2 months or a month and a half. Like it's been awesome. Like the screen is great, the battery life is great, it looks cool. I got the limited edition one, so I got the see-through, you know, the gray looking with the orange accents. Everything about the Steam Deck OLED is awesome. It really does feel like just the perfect version of the Steam Deck. Like you can get budget options, right? Just like you can get an iPhone 15 or you can get an iPhone 15 Pro that has a better camera, but the 15 is more than enough. It's still a good phone, right? That's the LCD model. It's a good gaming console. But if you want the best version, you know, the coolest thing out there right now with more storage and a better display and a bigger display and a brighter display, like all these things, then the OLED model is your best bet there. So just wanted to get that out there in terms of the pricing. All right, so all in all, what I gotta say, the Steam Deck OLED is an awesome device. It's a great improvement. It's kind of an iterative improvement, right? It's not like, oh, Steam Deck 2, and everyone's already talking about the Steam Deck 2. Even in my other comments from my old Steam Deck video, everybody's like, I'm gonna wait for the Steam Deck 2. But the thing is, I don't know that there's going to be that kind of Steam Deck 1, Steam Deck 2, Steam Deck 3. I don't know if they're gonna do what Xbox and PlayStation are doing. That's never really been the PC way. A lot of times it's like, I'm gonna go get a new graphics card, but not buy a whole new gaming PC, right? Like that's what you do, is you do your smaller iterative upgrades, and I feel like Steam Deck's gonna be kind of that, where it's like, sometimes you can skip an upgrade and be totally fine, and then, you know, 2 or 3 upgrades down the road, you're like, now I'm gonna upgrade my whole system, right? I think that's probably what it's gonna end up being. I'm just guessing right now, but I will say I think the Steam Deck OLED is the perfect version of the Steam Deck. The touchscreen's great, the display is great, it's bright, it's colorful, it's bigger, the battery life is great, the trackpads are improved, the bumpers are improved, it looks cooler, especially like the limited edition version. Like I love the look of that. Just, they killed it with this and knocked it out of the park, and I could not be happier with it. But again, I think that all the Steam Deck models are flawless. I think they really are some of the best devices that have been put out in many years. And I think even the LCD model, being the old model, is a great companion device, you know, to the OLED. They're both really great devices. Gaming on both of them is awesome. It's still a very enjoyable experience. They're both even using like the same, you know, graphics basically. One has a different chip slightly, but it's not more powerful. Steam killed it with the Steam Deck OLED and the LCD model both. I recommend both, it just kind of depends on your budget. So something to keep in mind. So anyway, thank you so much guys for watching the video. If you guys did like the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Help me grow this channel. I want to make it, you know, a big part-time job and be able to devote more time and energy to making these videos for you guys. So any support you guys can give would be much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you around.